Hi guys, and welcome to the Ace Tanker for the Matilda, the Tier 4 British medium tank. This is another one of these tanks I rebought in order to get an Ace Tanker in. Didn't get an Ace Tanker the first time round, and much like the Electo, where I put up a video for the Electo recently, this is a tank that really I bought and then just neglected to play. It's a Tier 4, which means it's not eligible for personal missions, and I've been mainly playing Tier 5 and Tier 6 tanks and above since the personal missions came in. So while I've had the tank for quite a while, I haven't put too many games into it, but as I say, it's a Tier 4 medium tank. It's incredibly well armoured for a medium tank. In fact, the gameplay and the style of play used for the Matilda is probably more like a heavy tank and should be played more like a heavy tank. It's incredibly slow, but it's incredibly well armoured. The downside is it doesn't get special matchmaking. It's a regular tank, so this tank sees Tier 4s, but it'll also see Tier 5s and Tier 6s. And in a Tier 5 or a Tier 6 game when it's bottom tier, I don't think the armor is very good, and I've been getting a lot of games. The few games I have played in the Matilda, I've been getting a lot of games where I was bottom tier in a Tier 6 game and really didn't have an opportunity to let this armor shine. The gun looks very, very good. It's rapid firing, it's a 40mm, but it has 121mm of penetration at Tier 4, which is incredibly good. It also gets 55 damage, which is very, very low alpha damage, but the rate of fire makes up for it. However, the DPM on this tank isn't very good. Compared to, for example, the Matilda 4, the Russian Lend-Lease Matilda, this tank is slower and it has much worse DPM. But the difference is the gun has much more penetration. So while the DPM is a lot less than a Matilda 4, the gun on this tank can actually pen tanks. It can actually hit tanks, whereas I found the accuracy and penetration on the Matilda 4 very, very lacking. So really, this is a very situational tank. It's very well armored for its tier, but it's very, very slow, and that means kind of small maps, city maps suit it better. And a lot of people will argue that maybe this tank is overpowered, and I would agree that maybe it's overpowered, but only when it gets top tier. In a Tier 6 game, a Matilda is a very, very easy tank to take out for higher tier tanks. But anyway, we are here on Highway. This is a game played at the end of a long play session. It was about 3 a.m. in the morning, and I remembered, you know what, I'm going to play some tanks I haven't played in a while, and I decided to play one last game in the Matilda before going to bed. And it was this one, and for the first time in a long, long time, I ended up getting a very, very nice matchup. So this is where the Matilda absolutely shines. It's when it's top tier in a Tier 4 game. Now that's not to say that a lot of tanks on the enemy team can't hurt me. They can. There are a lot of Tier 4 tanks on the enemy team that won't have any problems penning a Matilda. In fact, some of the Tier 3s on the enemy team can pen a Matilda. You could also see that the speed is very, very slow. We're doing 25 kilometers an hour down here, and you can see just how much quicker the rest of my tanks on the team are. It's just an incredibly slow, frustrating tank to play sometimes when you get onto a big open map, which is another reason I'm not that big a fan. But in the right circumstances, on the right map, the Matilda can be an absolute beast. So we're going to speed it up. So that was just to give you an example of how slow the tank is. There's a Panzer 1C who comes across the ridge, but don't manage to get a shot in. And we're still rolling into town. So a lot of TDs camping enemy spawn. That's fine, as long as they're not in town, I don't mind. And we're still trying to get into position. So our team are engaging enemy tanks and I'm still not in town, but we finally arrived. And I'm just going YOLO. I am really just going YOLO. So there's the first kill. Another kill. The tank is very, very good at shooting on the move. Because it's so slow, it's very good at shooting on the move. We bounce the A20. Get another shot in. You can see the low alpha damage, but you can also see the rate of fire is very, very good. Now, there is a hetzer to my left, and I'm basically worried about the hetzer. I'm keeping buildings between myself and where he was last spotted. And again, just trying to get damage done here. DW2, didn't realize you couldn't shoot through that corner, but we're angled, we're bouncing the DW2, get 3 shots in, that's the rate of fire. I spot the hetzer, so now I know I'm safe to advance. And I'm just going YOLO, there's no tactics here. I'm basically playing my tank to its strengths. I'm using the incredible armor. Staying angled, just advancing, just continuing to shoot. And I figured that the DW2 isn't much of a threat, so We're pre-aiming the T-25. M8A1's in his way, so we get one into the M8A1. There's kill number 2. I'm being flanked by a DW2, but I'm not worried at all. So we're just going to work on this M8A1. A20 bounces again. I know there's a DW2 behind me, and he somehow pens me. And he pens me again. I have no idea. So we kill the A20, and now I'm reverse side scraping the DW2. He manages to pen me again. The DW2, I really didn't think was going to be able to pen me, but... So, anyway, there we go. We've just taken out the DW2 with some reverse side scraping, and we've got 5 kills. Hetzer is now coming in for me. I'm still really surprised the DW2 had no problems penning me, but I've got the rate of fire, but the Hetzer is actually faster than me, so failed to track the Hetzer. And my rate of fire means that this guy's just dead. So 6 kills in the Matilda. We're up to 1400 damage. Still quite a few tanks that were last spotted down near enemy spawn. And really, even though I'm in a very well armored tank, that DW2 reduced me to 16 hit points. So I'm a 1-hit kill. But not playing with any skill here. I'm just using the tank, playing YOLO. Playing as the tip of the spear. So I do need to be careful. Any of these enemy tanks, if they're firing HE, are going to kill me. And if they're not firing HE, every remaining enemy tank can potentially pen my tank. So need to be quite careful. And the thing I'm worried most about is the Marder 38T and the Matilda haven't been spotted yet. So there's a good chance they're camping spawn. That's why I'm being quite cautious here. We're popping up, going to try and see if I can auto-aim the FCM, but he's taken out. And I'm not quite sure. Marder 38T has now been spotted, but I wasn't sure whether or not he was facing me. Still not sure from his outline what way he's facing. Now, he did fire, so that should have been a clue, but he gets taken out as well. I didn't spot him firing earlier. Alright, Marder 2 has now been spotted on the 1 line, and again I'm being careful because the Matilda on the enemy team, he's one of the better players, has not been spotted. So, slowly advancing, trying to use the bridge to spot through and maybe use for some cover. But I have a feeling that maybe the Matilda is either camping spawn hard or he's AFK. Really hard to believe he hasn't been spotted up till now. So I'm advancing, and it looks as if all the remaining tanks on my team, the 3 remaining tanks, are all going back to deal with that Marder 2, which is a little bit worrying if the enemy Matilda is in the still in his spawn. But we're now being capped. So, is that the Marder 2 capping, or is it the Matilda? I have no idea. 2 tanks in the enemy cap. Okay, well, there's the pressure. Now, there's a good chance we could still lose that, because as you can see, the Matilda is a very good tank, and the enemy have a Matilda who's capping. And because he hadn't been spotted up till now, and still hasn't been spotted, it means he's on full health. So, really, I'm reliant on my team. I'm capping. I don't have the speed or mobility to get back and defend. So I'm going to sit here and cap, and in the meantime all the action happens on the minimap. So the Matilda is finally spotted. So he's had a good game. He went down the 1-2 lines, didn't fight any enemy tanks, and all he's doing is capping. I'm just messing around, but our team actually managed to reset the cap, so well played to them. They actually killed the enemy PZS-35, or whatever it was, Marder 2 down there. So it's going to be a win regardless, even if the Kehoe or the T-82 fail to kill the Matilda, we're still going to win by cap. So this is one of these rare occasions where I actually go for a cap victory. Kehoe does a great job, resets again, and the Kehoe does have more than enough penetration to finish off this Matilda if he shoots his weak spots. And does. He resets the Matilda yet again. So, pretty straightforward game. No skill. I just went YOLO. It's very rare I get a game in the Matilda 2 where I'm top tier. So another one bites the dust, and I've decided to keep the Matilda. This tank is just, it's kind of frustrating. I'd love to say it's a lot of fun to play, but it's not. On the right map, with the right matchup, I think the Matilda is very, very good and can be a lot of fun to play. It's a great side scraper, great armor, great gun. The DPM is a little bit lacking though, and the alpha damage means you can't really track enemy tanks and keep them tracked. But on the other hand, when you get it onto the right map with the right matchup, the Matilda is a very, very good tank. And that's, I think, the reason why I decided to keep it. But anyway, we picked up the Ace, we picked up a steel wall, high caliber, and top gun. And as I say, there was no skill there. I just went YOLO because I figured most of the enemy tanks would have problems penning me. 1121 XP, 1454 damage done, 6 kills. We fired 35, hit 28, and penned 28. So there's the penetration on the gun. And even if you're fighting tier 5s, tier 6s, the penetration's still good enough to cause them problems. Alpha damage is low though, so yeah, for 28 shots, 1454 damage isn't particularly high. However, we blocked over 1,000 damage with our armor. We spotted 3, damaged 8, destroyed 6, did 231 assistance damage, and again, because I didn't have the speed or maneuverability to get back to defend, I ended up picking up 67 base cap points. I earned 29,000 credits with a premium account, 1681 XP on a ×2. As I say, rare occasion I decided to play the Matilda very early in the morning, just before I was going to go to bed at as you can see here, it was 3 a.m. But yeah, overall, I like the Matilda. It can be a little bit frustrating to play, but I definitely think it's worth keeping. So anyway, I've moved on. I think the next British tank I'm trying to get an Ace Tanker in at the moment is the Tier 7 Heavy, the Black Prince. Again, I don't enjoy that tank very much, but hopefully we're going to be able to get an Ace Tanker sooner rather than later. But anyhow, I want to thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.